Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
The chairman just said that the Democrats have always been, I think the direct quote was equitable funding for law enforcement. That's interesting because just 2 years ago, here's what the chairman said, June of 2020. There should be substantial cuts to police budgets. I don't know how you can be for, always be for something and then just 2 years ago say, so I don't know how you can say you've always been for something and 2 years ago you said that you weren't. But that just seems what Democrats are up to today. Let's call this package of bills before us today exactly what it is. It's an election year ploy from Democrats to try to look like they care about funding law enforcement. In the wake of radical left-wing efforts to defund the police, it's no surprise that violent crime is on the rise in America. Every major urban area has seen a huge uptick in violent crime. It should also be no surprise that Democrats are now trying to run and hide from their radical ideas and dangerous rhetoric. For more than 2 years, we've seen violent crime surge all across the country, particularly in Democrat-run cities, while many of those same Democrats not only advocated for defunding police departments, but they did it. They cut them. Now the Democrats want to use federal tax dollars to paper over the problems they created in their local Democrat-run cities. But these bills do nothing to solve the underlying problem. They simply create more grant programs within the bureaucracy of the federal government. Under current law, there are already grants available to law enforcement to hire personnel. In fact, last year the Justice Department awarded more than $139 million in grant dollars through the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services. That money provided funds to 183 law enforcement agencies and allowed them to hire more than 1,000 additional officers. We don't need more federal grants so Democrat-run cities can then divert taxpayer money to fund their woke agenda. What we need is prosecutors who are willing to prosecute crimes and jurisdictions with laws that actually keep violent criminals in prison. Nothing in these bills prevent jurisdictions that choose to defund their police from receiving these grant funds. In fact, when judiciary Republicans offered an amendment to preclude jurisdictions that defunded their police from receiving grant funds, the Democrats rejected it, and they rejected it unanimously. Faced with an election just over a month away, House Democrats now want to pretend they actually support law enforcement. The timing of this bill should tell you all you need to know about where Democrat priorities are. Democrats who are in full control of this body have had 2 years to show their support for law enforcement. Only now, when faced with an impending election, are Democrats beginning to feign support for our men and women in the blue. Democrats could have shown their support for law enforcement. Instead, Democrats passed bills to infringe on Americans' Second Amendment rights, legalize marijuana, further empower the Biden Justice Department to spy on concerned parents. These bills are just another admission by Democrats that the defund the police movement is wrong and irresponsible. Perhaps the Democrats weren't in a cleanup mode after their irresponsible embrace of defund the police rhetoric. The Judiciary Committee could have had an opportunity to consider and improve most of these bills before they came to the floor. But we didn't. And instead, Democrats are rushing to consider these bills to give themselves some pretense that they support funding the police. No one's fooled. Americans know where Democrats really stand. Americans aren't buying the Democrats' revisionist history. They've seen years of Democrats embracing and supporting the radical defund the police movement. Americans know that the Democrats are the party of soaring crime and defunding the police. I urge opposition and reserve the balance of our time.
Gentleman from Ohio reserve.